We're live. Hi, everybody. This is, oh, darn. What's my name, Ken?
The Invisible Gardener, Andy.
Yes, hi, I'm the Invisible Gardener, and here's Ken Somerville. He is my, actually, I'm the co host. He's the host of It's About the Biology. So I'm having him today on Talks with the Invisible Gardener, and we're going to be talking for a little while. And if you want, hi, Lily. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Let me just do this since I am the master here. There you go. There you go. How's that? That is cool.
You get to play producer tonight, Andy, and I don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything. You just sort of have to hang out. By the way, Silly Lily is Ken's wife, the other better half, or the better three quarters. So, Ken.
Yes.
How many shows have we been doing together so far? 3 or 4 months?
For a month, every Wednesday on It's All About the Biology channel, we do Gardens, the Untold Story.
And we've done about 3 or 4 months now, right? 4 months.
Actually, we're on our second season, Andy. We've done over 30, I think it's 30 podcasts together, my friend.
Gee, I thought we only did 2 or 3 or 4. So anyway, I've only known you for such a short time. I really don't know anything about you. So why don't you just tell me and tell everybody out there, because we're going to be, I guess taped and we go out to the universe and it'll be out there forever and ever. Who are you and what are you doing here? I don't remember any of this stuff.
Well, my name's Ken Somerville, of course. Andy, you can click on Silly Lily's comment again and it'll remove it off the screen. Okay, there you go. Andy's still learning the producer side of things. Okay.
Okay, so anyway, there you go. I can't do 2 things, but I can do this, and you just talk.
Okay, I'll just talk. So, a little bit of my history. When I was a child, it was found out that preservatives had a nasty effect with me. So my family went organic and natural living from when I was a toddler. So I grew up in the organic mindset, I guess you could say.
That's nice. That's really cool.
Yeah, we ate wild meat and meat that friends raised, like pigs, cattle, etc.
Where was this at?
I'm in Alberta, Canada. So
Canada.
I'm up north where it gets really cold, man.
Yeah, you mean that white stuff on the ground?
Yes, I got a bunch of it outside right now, but so I grew up organic, and then 15 years ago I got sick. I almost died a couple of times, and I ended up permanently disabled.
That's why you look the way you look now, huh? That's like you look a little, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking mentally disabled. Well, depends on the day, right? But yeah, physically disabled, told that I was done as a normal part of society. I was a cog in the wheel that broke. And
cog in the wheel that broke.
Yeah, so they got rid of me and put me on permanent retirement. And
your company,
what's that, Andy?
The company you was working for?
I was working for a trucking company. Actually, I was a manager in charge of logistics, and then I was driving as well. That's how I took out my back. Was I picked up a box that was too heavy, and popped nerves out the side of my spine, Andy.
Oh, did they give you like a permanent disability to go home with? That's at least something. That's at least something, right?
Well, I'm on the government disability. The company, put it this way, workers' compensation is not. They're not nice people, and they don't help. They hinder. But anyway, we won't get into that. But because of my injury, I had severe pain in my back, and my back would cramp up. It would cramp up so bad. My wife would find me on the floor, curled up in a fetus position with the muscles of my back literally jumping up and down.
What do you do now for it?
Well, I actually use cannabis.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Yeah, I know. Well, I understand the endocannabinoid system, and I also understand that if you're consuming chocolate, ladies, it's actually producing THCA in your body. So, unless we're gonna make chocolate illegal, I don't think cannabis should be illegal to anyone. It's just another plant. It's plant medicine, and that's how I found out about biology. Being injured, I couldn't do things, so I would stay and learn. I'm a consummate researcher, a citizen scientist, a little bit of an inventor. I love to DIY things. And when I found out that cannabis would take care of my pain, and I don't smoke it, I actually consume it as an edible, right?
Yeah.
I make gel caps and consume the gel caps.
How long you been doing that?
7
2 days at least, right?
6-7 years now. Yeah.
Wow. And it does really help you deal with pain, and is it helping you heal?
Yeah, the pain is a big one, and then the other is the muscle spasms. It stopped them. I was on pharmaceuticals so bad it was like I was a 3 or 4 year old. I could barely string a sentence together.
I know that from my experience, because I drive a lot, I used to get leg cramps, and the only time I get a leg cramp is because I haven't smoked a joint in the week.
Okay.
If I don't smoke a joint in a week, at the end of the following week, I'm driving, and I want to step on the brake, and my leg says, "I'm not moving. I'm not moving. I'm not moving." So fortunately, sometimes my left foot will push over my. But but that's what it does. It's seriously, it just stops any of those cramps from happening. But I've lately gotten in that path of, like you are, not smoking it, but trying to ingest it in a different way. I'm using the volcano. The volcano, which is a little cleaner method. It gives you the vapor, does the same effect for me. It's a lot cleaner. But I like to be able to eat it. I'm just not sure if I can handle the eat. I mean, the last time I ate a cookie, it was like, holy cow, I guess I shouldn't eat so much of those, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You garden at your place?
Yes, I've actually I have a small one, and it's actually going to get a lot bigger this year. I'm going to be doing a lot of.
You have a small garden, right? Okay, I wasn't listening.
Actually, I've stopped the cannabis growing, and we're moving into vegetables and flowers, etc., for my property, just to revitalize the soils that I have access to with the biology that is necessary to grow healthy plants. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the biology.
How did you get started? Because I've been doing this a long time ago, for a long time. Like I told you before, I always call it the microbes, the microbes. And I come along with you, it's a biological biology. It's a biology. That is such an easy term, so simple, and it explains it. Because I was telling you the other day, microbes are just a small ass part of the biology. The biology. Right. So tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, I took it down actually to the S phase of cell development. And
S phase. What is that?
The S phase is before RNA, before DNA, when the cell is actually old enough. Basically, it's a teenager, and it wants to reproduce itself.
Yeah.
It needs to do two things, right?
Okay.
It needs to find more biology to actually build the cell or the workforce.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it also needs all the components to build that cell. So if you're looking at it like a house, it would be like your 2x4s, your plywood, your flooring, the drywall, etc. Those components need to be gathered. Now, when I looked at this, I went, okay, the biology is the workforce that builds the cell, right?
Right.
And then it needs all these building materials. Well, where does that come from?
Right.
And so what I found is it's actually in a soil system. It comes from sand, silt, clay, or organic material that's in the soil. The biology that lives in the soil mines all those different components from what's there to give to the biology at the cell that needs those building blocks to build a new cell. So that's where I came up with the term. It's all about the biology, because in every aspect of cell development, it's the biology that's in control of it.
So I have a question. So I'm studying
Sure.
to do this arborist, certified arborist, and they talk about different layers of the soil. Do you know what
Yep.
they are? Do you know what they
The
are?
different horizons, your A,
Different
E.
horizons, right? Exactly
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
when you're talking about what we were talking, which horizon would those be? Is it all of them, or just one particular horizon?
It's in all of them, Andy. Actually, they did an experiment where they drilled down
Uh,
several thousand feet and they pulled up
uh,
a core, cracked it open, and they found biology inside of that stone at that level, the exact same biology that's on our surface of our planet, only the life cycle was different. Up here, the biology, that particular one, lives for days to weeks to months. In the rock, it was on geological time. So tens of thousands of years, it was living in that space inside of the rock. But they've
that
had
deep,
biology on the space station, Andy.
yeah. So it doesn't really matter the layer, the horizon. They just name it
You're going to
different
find biology.
for different functions that are going on at each level.
Yes. Well, and you
And
have the two forms of real biology. You have biology that exists in the air. So in the air we breathe, we're breathing biology every day, all day, with every day. But that biology also lives in the soil, so terra firma, and in the water, the aquatic biology. That's where biology first started. If you go back in history,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where it
yeah.
all formed and then came onto land.
So it's like when you talk about it's biology, you're not just talking about biology in the soil, you're talking about
No,
biology in the air, biology in the water,
in
biology
plants,
everywhere. Yeah,
animals, us.
yeah, right.
Okay,
So it's
we're
like, and so the whole earth is really, it's the biology.
it's
The whole
literally
earth.
all about the biology. That's why I
That's what,
came up with that term, Andy.
that is such a cool, you should trademark it or something because that is very clear, very easy. Oh, look at that. Silly, subscribe to my channel.
Good for
Oh my
silly.
goodness. Yeah. Thank you that much, Silly. Anybody else, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. I started doing it a long time ago. I had no idea what I was doing and I didn't do anything. It's only recently. Well, I'm following your thing about doing as much and keep doing it, keep doing. But
Yeah.
I wanted to say that, and I forgot, but it has to do with the biology. You
Mhm.
should really definitely trademark it or copyright it because it's very clear, very precise. But even myself, I was going soil, it's the biology, right? But now I'm going, no. It's the whole earth that's a biology. It's all has to do with the living organisms in the soil and the earth
Mhm.
and the rock and the air. I mean, was reading an article the other day about the rainforest. You can actually take a little bit of the air and look under a microscope. There you have the biology.
Yes. And that's very true. And if you understand a little bit about the history of our planet and how biology was formed, you can look at how rain is formed. Pseudomonas merengue, I think, is the term for
Wait,
the
say that
particular
again. What?
biology. Pseudomonas merengue, I think. I'd actually have to look it up again. It's been a while since I did the presentation where I talk about it, but it actually causes rain, and it's a biology.
Seriously, wait, say that again. I thought rain comes from the clouds and that stuff. So what are you
Well,
talking about?
if you
What?
consider pure water does not freeze at zero, it freezes, I think, at minus 32.
Yeah,
But that's pure water. If it's got 1 grain of sand in it,
yeah,
then
or
that
so.
is a different temperature. But this Pseudomonas bacteria that exists in the air, the water, in our lungs, etc.,
Uh-huh.
it can actually condense the water at a much different temperature. And that's why we have the rains that we do, because it gathers all those molecules, forms into clouds as it condenses, and that's where we get rain. Without that
Wow,
biology, we don't get the rains.
wow, that is so cool. That is really cool because you would think, well, water goes up and it gets condensed and somehow it starts to rain. But the
Mhm.
fact is that biology are involved with a lot more than we realize.
Well, I want to point something out, guys, that most people have never even thought about, but is A drop of water heavier than air?
I would say it's lighter, but we think it's heavier because it falls to the ground.
It's definitely heavier,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And
well,
that's why it falls and is susceptible to gravity. But the biology is holding it up in the air in those clouds.
uh-huh.
Okay. But this is going a little deep. And if you really want to get deep, check out Gerald Pollock in the fourth phase of water. But it's
Yeah,
a magnetic charge
yeah.
controlled by the biology that's holding that moisture in the
That's so
air
cool.
before it comes back to Earth.
That's
And the
because
biology comes with it.
that's because water is such an essential part of the biology.
Yes.
Structured water, Mother Nature makes structured water all the time. And it's
Mhm.
not just structured water, it's water with information. Water, it has its own, like you
Energized.
say, it energizes its own electrical energy, negative and positive, and lots of different ways of interaction. And the biology, the more I studied, but simply like this type of encounter, my brain starts to clicking. Holy cow! Because I see the biology, right?
Mhm.
It's not so hard to see the biology that should be in the soil. But
Yes.
you would say, well, that will be, but just looking at the sky, looking at the water, you
Yeah.
would yeah, like this guy here, Dr. Yamato. He's the one that did image of water, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dr. Yamoto out of
yeah, yeah,
Japan.
and it's really, really
Fascinating
cool.
pictures.
And what's even more fascinating is I talk a lot about it in terms of because I look at it as cosmic gardening, right? The
Yeah.
universe has this thing called the Earth, and the
Mhm.
way it's all revolves around water, right? Water, liquid water, and how the biology can actually interact with it. Like you said, it has like a magnetism that attracts they get attracted, and that's just the biology that creates that. And we're the
Yeah.
same kind of biology, so we have the same magnetism as well. We have the same energy as well. And
Yeah.
the biology, it's so cool because I said, oh, here's let me show you this one too.
Dr. Gerald Pollock was an amazing guest on the Soil Matters. Yes, he was with Leighton Morrison.
Yeah, good. Did he say about the same thing about the energy and all that stuff of the biology, or was it something different? Because I don't know who he is.
Dr. Gerald Pollock's written several books on water, and he's been researching water for several decades.
Uh-huh.
There's a magnetic field that forms. He calls it. Oh, geez.
Oh,
It's
geez, that's a cool name for a magnetic field.
yeah. He calls the water a specific term, and it's there and it's gone, guys. Sorry, but it's forms the negative and the positive. It actually separates the molecule into negative, positive, moves
Paramagnetic.
the negative out and keeps the positive in, and actually forms tunnels. Just like if you look at a red blood cell and you look at the vein and the tip of your finger, there's no way that big red blood cell can fit through there. But with the magnetic compression that's formed,
It does.
EZ water, that's what he calls it, is
Easy
EZ
water.
water. It actually compresses the molecule of the blood vessel and is allowed to sneak through, just like a worm going through a really, really tiny hole. It compresses itself and expands as it comes out the other side. And easy water is, in everything. The more we have of it, the healthier we actually are.
I would think it's the same thing with plants.
It is. How do you think a redwood that's,
Takes it
300
all
feet
the way
tall
up there,
gets
right?
water from the very bottom to the very top?
Exactly right. Takes it all the way up there. And the same thing with how it transfers from the cell, from the root systems to all food and energy and
Yeah.
trace minerals and everything to all the plants. Because it's not just a matter of pumping it through. It doesn't work. Doesn't work that way. And so there's it has a lot to do with the way energy interacts with our cells, how it interacts with the
Yes.
water, and how it changes. It's
Well, if
really
you
very, very cool.
consider, like Mo is saying, a blood cell can hold more information than a computer chip. If you look at, I believe it's Pseudomonas, so a single-celled organism,
Yeah.
the water content in the individual is either 33 or 333 billion molecules of water in that single cell.
Yeah, wow, that's like heavy, right? And each
Exactly.
molecule is a source of information.
Yes.
This
It's just like
information,
every cell in your body, Andy, every skin cell that you have has your
yeah,
complete genetic code
yeah,
inside of it.
yeah.
Every
Like the
single cell.
hair, like the hair. You can take a sample of the hair, and you'd be
Yeah.
surprised as to what's in it. And and,
Yeah.
and silly,
Yeah.
silly is right. Water holds memory, not
Yeah.
just if it's when I do my gem elixirs, I've learned to write to the water, and so it's like a memory. But basically when you say holds, it's like when you think of a hard drive. You write to the
Yes.
hard drive, right? That's like it holds memory. But basically, it's you can write to that. It's a way of writing the information on a hard drive. Everybody understands that. You can do that with water. You can write the
Yep.
information onto the water.
They're actually researching that, Andy. They're thinking that that may actually be the next microchips will be molecules of water. Hey, ghetto. Yes, I was. You know, it doesn't look like it now, but I was a baby.
Well, and it's true because that is right now we have more information in our genetic makeup than people will be surprised as to what information we have available to us and access to.
Well,
So
every cell in your body
you're
has,
right.
you know, the complete genetic code of you in it. And it's the biology that reads that and makes new cells. But we also talk a lot on our show, Andy, about things like rock dust and, you know, the micronutrients. It works in our body the same as in plants and animals. We need those micronutrients to reach our full genetic potential, but it happens in two ways. Okay, it happens in the biology that's created from those compounds that may be lacking in your body, and it's those particular biology that creates a particular aspect of your cell, maybe a heart cell, that if it's not there, that heart cell isn't as healthy as it could be. So it's components to feed the heart cell itself, but also to create the biology that builds the heart cell. So it's that dual synergistic relationship. And then the energy, that's the photons of light in the plant. It's the biology that's drawing that in, has created the factory that pulls that photon out of the air and then turns it into exudates and turns it into other structures inside of itself to grow the plant. And that's where it's so important to have all the necessary components available for both building biology, but building all the other cells.
Okay, so Ken, here's a question for you, but I can also answer it too. So go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. Read it.
What is the human equivalent of rock dust? Because I thought heavy metals or rocks were bad for us. Well, it's pretty tough to eat rock dust. You can do it. You breathe that dust in every moment of every day. You're breathing dust into your lungs. Your biology is actually breaking that down. That's where a breatharian, somebody that doesn't eat, can actually survive, is because they're breathing those components in. They have the biology that can use it. Normally, we're supposed to get those components and the biology from what we're eating, whether that's a plant, an animal, a fruit, whatever you're consuming. You're supposed to be getting both the biological and the nutrient dense food that you're consuming. What's happened, unfortunately, is our soils are so depleted in the biology, not in the micronutrients, because 1 grain of sand has enough calcium to do 1 acre hemp crop. And hemp is a huge, huge drawer of calcium. 1 grain of sand. It's the lack of the microbiology to mine that sand to give those molecules into the plants that we're lacking. That's why we see so many extinctions on this planet, is different parts of the biological structure that has to be there has been damaged. I look at it as what I call the predator-prey model. Have you ever heard of the predator-prey model, Andy?
Well, I in school I was no.
Okay. Well, I actually ran across it when I was taking an 8-month in-depth study of treatment-free beekeeping. But basically, the premise is if you have a gazelle and you have a cheetah, okay, and the gazelle gets chased by the cheetah, it has to be physically fit. The strong survive, right?
Right. Right.
But if you put that gazelle in a car and you're outpacing the cheetah, okay, which is, adding the biostimulants or not biostimulants, adding fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, that is your car, then the gazelle doesn't have to build up any speed, doesn't have to build up the muscles to run away from the predator. So what happens is if the car all of a sudden stops or the fertilization stops, that is a very weak animal. The prey catches or the predator catches up,
Yeah.
kills all of it. But at the same time, because all the gazelle are dead, what happens to the predator that has no prey left to survive on? They die off too.
That's all
This
right.
is what's happened in our soils.
Yeah.
That first aquatic biology that came out and populated our soils has been decimated and needs to be restarted so that the foundation of the biology or the stuff that's aquatic or is I want to say aeroponic, but it is not air loving, right? Needs to be in the deeper layers of our soil structures to
Anaerobic.
give the prey and predator build up into the larger organisms that we know as ants, as birds, as rabbits. It's not just the microbiology, it's the whole system. If you have one area fail, then the area around it that fed on it or was its food source all of a sudden is out of balance and will die off.
And that's absolutely true, and it's interesting too because in if you look back in the past, you say how far back have we been polluting? Well, there was a long time that we really didn't do much. We just thousands of years we would move to one place, do something, and then move on to the other place. Like the American Indians, they just travel all over the place, 10,000s of years, whatever, didn't do a thing. So it's only my guess when we really started to, really do the bad things was the Industrial Revolution. So when the Industrial Revolution came along, we decided we can make fertilizers. All right, and then from fertilizers, we also started making pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all those things. And up until then, what we were doing wasn't so much that it can't be repaired quickly. It's just by some logical farming you would do. But when you started using chemicals, then you have to figure out a different way to repair it because it will. The biology does not evolve fast enough to handle poisons that normally are not found in nature.
No, it can take, like somebody's mentioned, Mo was mentioning chemotherapy, but what stuck in my head was Chernobyl in Russia, where the biology actually is capturing the nuclear isotopes, holding them in the soil structure.
Yeah.
And people could exist there. It's only when the soil is disturbed that they're released. That's what's happened in our soils. You think of everything as a carbon-based being, whether it's microbiology or us itself.
Yep.
So by killing all the biology in our soil, we've released all that CO2, that carbon, into our atmosphere. You want to take carbon out of the atmosphere? Use your soil as a carbon sink. Once you've got the system set up and you've got the fungally network started, the fungi and its hyphae, carbon is actually stored in the hyphae for later use. We can take all that carbon back out and create healthy plants and humans again.
It's interesting too, but it's one of the things that people don't realize is that the biology has a way of this whole carbon nitrogen ratio, the whole thing about carbon is really cool because the soils hold carbon, Water, ocean holds carbon. Everything is made, even trees, guess what they suck up? Carbon. So we have all this system that takes in the carbon, and part of the system is to give back oxygen or use the carbon. And
Yeah.
so so in a lot of ways, carbon levels rising is not really bad. I mean, if it wasn't for the toxins and if it wasn't for the radiation and the carbon, so you would have more trees. You would have, in the old days, it was high levels of carbon dioxide, for whatever reason, naturally, and the plants just took off because they love the carbon and the
have to
soil.
have it.
Yeah, they love this. The soil took off. The biology took off too because they love the carbon. It was in such a form that they easily handled. The problem we're having now is that the biology is not there to handle the carbon. We have less and less trees than ever before. The ocean can't handle any more carbon either. So we're still doing the carbon thing, but we're not. We have taken the ability of the biology to handle the carbon.
Exactly. And that's what the Mother Nature designed. And you think every volcano that pops off, that's that much more carbon. And face it, one volcano popping off is pretty much everything that man has put into the atmosphere in its lifetime. One volcano does in a day, right? We're not a big polluter of carbon. They just tell us we are. But the carbon is in every life form. Okay, that cell. When I was talking about the 2x4s, 2x6s, those are carbon molecules to build those. It's the biology that builds that molecule. Carbon is needed to build that biology as well. That's why we need to get the biology back into the soils and start drawing that back down and bringing the oxygen levels back up on our planet. Really before something happens to, our oceans, where we lose 70% of our oxygen. If our oceans crash, I don't know. I don't think I'd breathe very well up at the top of Mount Everest when I'm living at ocean level,
I think that if you study history a little bit, you'll find that, again, the industrial, it wasn't really, even, the times you look at the Roman Empire, or what did they do, really, right? That's so bad. Nothing compared to what we're doing now. You think of it, the French, what is it, the Napoleon, right?
Napoleon. Okay.
During that era. So you go way back a long ways, and even Caesar's time and all that stuff. It's like they did not do nearly as much damage as we've done in the last 100 years.
No, but you have to consider, they had mizzen pits, like in your castle. You had the mizzen pit where all the waste went, the ashes went, all the charcoal went to hold the smell down. What's biochar? Activated charcoal. What do you have in all that feces? A whole lot of biology. What did happen to that? They spread it out on the fields. And animal manures. And the animals churned up the top layer, of things and broke through to allow rainwater and moisture in easier. We don't have those now. And now we're tilling to such an extent where when you think of an aggregate as a universe for biology, when you till, you're destroying their universe, their planet, their civilization. They have to start all over again to rebuild it. That's why it can take so long to rebuild the soil, because you're having to, wait for the biology to rebuild their civilization. Now some of them, their life expectancy in our frame of reference is a matter of hours to a day. In our time is generations, hundreds of generations of some forms of microbiology. That's how fast they multiply. That's why compost heats up so much. The nitrogen phosphorus ratios, the greens and the browns, it breeds that bacteria that's anaerobic, that doesn't need oxygen. But in their breeding, and they're multiplying, that's what happens when two sticks get rubbed together it creates heat. That's one of the reasons that compost heats up. Just saying.
Yeah, I was started thinking about a lot of other things, but it's really very cool. You know, I was actually thinking about the Romans, the way when they conquered other countries and what they do, they spray salt on the land,
Right, the salt, yeah.
salted. That would stop them. But even that, the biology would just take over and healed it up. So it's not like they're spreading radiation on the soil to stop it, which will take a long, long time. But even then, I believe that the biology will eventually win. And in our case, here on the Earth here, because we're basically we're humans, but we're not the top of the heap. We're not so essential to the Earth that the Earth will not get rid of us.
Mm. Well, you consider going back to the predator prey model, Andy, if you and I were dropped down in Africa in the middle of a pride of lions, what do you think our chances would be that we're going to be dinner? Okay.
And it's really interesting in a lot of ways because people think the Earth is here for us to do as we wish.
Yeah.
That's fine if you just don't take into account what the Earth is going to do with us if we don't watch
Without
out
us.
without us.
She
right?
would
To
be
us.
able to start all over again, Andy, for
Yeah,
all the damage that we have done. It will be gone. It'll take several tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years to get everything back in. You have to consider that biology by itself only moves 1 inch per year. So if you're, doing a straight row in your garden and you're putting that biology in that 1 inch, okay, it'll take a full year for that biology to go from here out to here to the inch each side. Okay. She moves really slow, but she does move. But then that's where the upper levels of biology came in, your shredders, your arthropods, your worms, and then up into the, things that crawled everywhere and spread things around. And that's where things sped up. But it took tens of millions of years to get to those levels of putting enough of biology and cells together to create those creatures that we know as birds and elephants, alligators.
It's a slow process.
Yes.
Really,
But
really,
she's
really super
patient.
slow. Really super slow process. That's why.
Yes.
That's why what we've done within 100 years, Mother Nature is going, you've got to be kidding me. Because I've taken
We're
millions
worse
of
than an
years,
asteroid.
right? I'm getting millions of years to get this together. And within 100 years, you're almost literally killing off the majority of the biology. You can't get rid of all the biology, but it looks like we certainly are trying to go through it. I think biology will evolve enough to where it will there'll be a different form of life here. We not necessarily have to be humans running the planet. Remember, the dinosaurs were here for millions of years, right?
Well, yeah, they weren't polluting like we were, and it took an asteroid to knock them off. But you really have to consider the inside of every cell, and it's embedded in the water molecules. So as long as there's one drop of water, the entire genetic code of our planet is in that drop of water, dinosaurs,
right.
etc.
That's
So
right.
it's the biology is just going to choose a different direction. It's going to choose a different set of plans,
Right.
and move forward with that, with the components that it has available. That's where, a healthy cell for us needs all those components and the biology to build it.
That's why I think we really need to get off of this nuclear power trip until we have a safer alternative to the toxic radioactive waste.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the biology can eventually evolve to protect us, to eat the cell, it's going to take time, like crazy, for it to evolve to be able to do that. That's that's the way it works. A biology come along, oh, I can eat this, and the rest of the biology look, oh, maybe we should too, but it's not within any particular small time frame. It takes a long time for it to evolve that way. So I think that's a key word. It's like, that's why I tell people it's not us that we need to be concerned about, it's our children and their children's children.
Yes. Yeah.
See?
Well, it's like I'm going out and I'm talking about this, you're talking about this, and a lot of people now are moving towards a better understanding of the biology and getting out and informing people. But I'm not doing this for me as much as I'm doing it for, other people, younger people, their children, their children's children. If we don't fix the problem as we see it, they're not going to have a future that's going to be anything that has oxygen or involved with this planet.
It was interesting too is that the biology. See, you hit upon a really cool thing because the more we make people aware that we're basically part of the biology. We really are. We're basically really seriously part. So we think we're not. We think like we can do whatever we want to, and it doesn't really going to hurt. But it does. It's like if you have your finger there and you have a hammer, you're beating on that finger and smashing it and smashing it. No idiot would do that, but that's exactly what we're doing. We're not even just beating on the finger. We're beating on the hand, hammer hitting yourself on the head. It's like, yeah, it's. I had a dream once about I was on a branch, high up in the branch,
Right.
and I was cutting off the branch I was sitting on. Throughout the years, my dream has evolved where I'm not only on the tree, I'm cutting the whole tree that I'm sitting on.
Yeah.
So to me, it's really a direction that we need to pay attention to because if we like human beings to be here, then we had better pay attention to what it is we're doing. By the way, this sounds like a mission. Is this your mission in life?
Definitely, Andy. That is my mission in life, to get out and inform people about this and change their understanding so that they can go out as well and talk to their friends and family. We can't do it alone. We can only reach so many people. My mission is to get out more into the community across Canada, start doing talks at garden centers.
Toxic garden centers. Is that what you're going to call it? Toxic garden. That's going to get people such. Oh, I want to go to a toxic garden center.
No. Talks at garden centers.
Oh, good. I was going to go toxic gardens. That's like that's a really interesting name. I'm going, yeah, let's call it toxic gardening. Well, yeah, if people called it that, they wouldn't do that, would they? If you say this is toxic gardening, they're going to go, I don't want to do that, right?
That's right.
Maybe it should be called that. It says you're doing toxic gardening and we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big difference. It's a big difference. That's been my mission. You would think that going to work and doing this as business. No, that's just a way I make a living. My mission is doing exactly what I've been doing now. And I started with the brick and mortar, right? Brick and mortar. I would drive to the studio, put the headphones on, and do the very same thing I'm doing now. And that's been like, I feel that if one person goes, wow, maybe. Wait, what did you say here? It was my family friend who passed on. I actually passed on a while ago. I just still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, your biology hasn't caught up with it yet.
Oh my God, he spelled Gardner wrong. Oh, I'm gonna faint. Oh, I'm so weak. I'm weak now. When I did my radio show on the radio, and I would mention go to invisiblegardener.com, people would say, we can't find your website and your email is not working. Well, of course, if they spelled it wrong, they'll never find it. But
it's invisible.
And I really enjoy doing this. I feel that if one person said, I get it. It's like, and I feel like I've done my mission, and to me, that one person is going to turn on other people. So it catches on. And I think it's never too late because the biology is patient. We can call it the biology, but I just like going Gaia, Mother Nature, right? Yeah. I would say Gaia. It's the same thing as the Gaia biology. That's what we're talking about. Gaia gives it a little more respect in the sense that we want to look at it as a whole. Okay, instead of the fingers, instead of acknowledging this is the finger, we want to say this is the whole body.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
When I do I was just talking to somebody just today who insisted that the tree was sick. I said, well, Think of it as your finger. So if you want me to fix your finger, I better look at your body.
Yeah.
There's no way you can do that, fix your finger without look and see what's wrong with your body.
Yeah.
So to me, the biology is really your body. The body.
Yeah.
The biology is part of. So like you look at your body, you have biology in the body, but you have the skin and everything else together. It's the same thing with the earth. The earth, you have the biology, but the skin and everything else holds it together. So it's like a living being, just a different form.
Yeah. Well, it's like your plant. It's all the cells put together. It forms a plant. All the cells put together form us.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So it's kind of weird because I think part of the idea of meditation, part of the idea of listening to nature is to understand that we are one consciousness. And like I said, nobody in their right brain would start whacking themselves on the head with a hammer or smashing your finger. But that's exactly what people are doing. They're hurting themselves by hurting the biology because they're really hurting not only themselves, but every other living being every other living thing on the planet.
Bingo.
I've always been so angry. I said, look, you want to destroy yourself, fine. Don't take everything else with you.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that. So that's why I'm here, and that's why you're here, is to find a group of people together who say, yeah, we like this. We really enjoy understanding this. We want to get better. I'm talking to a policeman today who says, what do you mean, invisible gardener? And I'm telling him the real invisible gardeners are the living microbes in the soil, the living biology in the soil. I shouldn't say living because the biology has to be alive for it to work. I mean, you can't say dead biology works, right? But I always try to get that word living in there because people think that the soil is just soil, nothing in the soil, it's just soil. But no, it's like as if we thought the body's there's nothing in this body, right? There's nothing here. Well, there's biology inside this biology. We have to. I mean, we deal with it the same way for medicine and our health. Health. We don't even pay attention to what's going on inside our bodies, right? In terms of the biology is going on inside our body. Why should we pay attention to biology is going on the planet? Right
now, there was a question earlier, Andy. Yeah, it was basically on the brain and the soul. Is there biology in the brain and the soul? I think it was Mo or Patrick.
There you go.
Put it up. Yeah, is the mind soul included in the biology, Ken and Andy? Now, your mind, your brain, the actual physical brain,
is
biology. Every cell that's there is biology. It's been created by the biology. It's ran by the biology. That's what we're missing. Your soul
is a conscious.
The soul is not.
So
it's connected to the physical form energetically, not biologically, but it interacts with the biology. And when we actually are really resonating with the biology that surrounds us in the forest, in the ground, in the animals, we can feel them. Okay. And that's not because we can see a mile away and we can see a herd of deer, where the natives used to be able to do that because they could feel the energy through the biology, through the hair. There's particles of gold in parts per billion in your hair, but gold is the most electrically conductive material known to man at this point.
Right. And guess what we use for our nerve system? Guess what we use for our nervous system? Guess what we use to transmit energy throughout our body? Gold.
That's the energy connection. And think of the biology on this planet as a big, huge brain, okay? And all the electrical signals going through like a normal brain, you would see a scan. That's the biology talking to each other. That's the fungus. That's the bacteria talking to each other. That's the trees, the animals, the air itself talking. You know, when a plant puts out a signal that it's being attacked, it's putting out a signal through the electrical field of its roots. It's putting it out in the air that surrounds it. It's a sound that we can't hear,
and
but
the color.
we can actually track it now
In a
It
color.
screams, and the color. Okay, it's that synergistic relationship that's all there when you really start to understand it. It truly is all about the biology.
You are just a hippie, man. You're just a hippie.
Oh well,
Make
and
make
that's
love,
why I had the long hair. Yeah,
make love, not war. Make love, not war. Right? Make love,
yeah.
not.
Feed the biology.
What's really cool is that on every level of living things, whether it be bird, insect, animals, it's the very same system. It's the
Yeah.
very same system. It just changes it a little bit because, and then gold is very interesting because the animals, the birds, the bees, they don't use gold in their system. They use something different. We use gold, and that's what makes us a little bit different in our brain capacity to understand. I think animals and insects, they don't say, "Who am I?" They don't have that. They
No.
don't. They don't say, "Who am I?" They're just there. They're being. Whereas human beings, because we have this intricate network of gold, and it's very interesting too because in the mycelium world, the network is identical.
Yeah.
The difference is how we use gold in our brains, and the plants use all the forms of minerals in their brains, if you want to call it a brain.
Yeah.
Now it's actually a brain, even though it functions as a brain in terms of making them do things and things happen. But our brain capacity is really cool because gold has a certain frequency that allows us to transmit and to receive. And that's very, very cool. And we have the ability to, when a tree is yelling for help, we can actually, if we're tuned in, we can hear the system saying help. Other trees help, other plants, insects. We all help on one way or the other. We all contribute to the benefit of the whole. Remember in Star Trek, the one, what was it? It's not. It was he. Spock says the one is not greater than the whole, or the whole is not greater than the one. Or remember that?
Yeah. Oh geez.
Yeah,
The one is worth more than the many, or the many is worth more than the one, or something along those
basically,
lines.
it was saying that the parts are greater than the whole.
Yes. Yeah.
And so for me, I started almost immediately acknowledging that because my consciousness was already tuned into nature, which I think is really cool. People
Yeah.
have to work on tuning into nature. That's why we have the ability to tune in. See, we can really tune in. And so that's what the biology is really interesting because the biology are already tuned in. Everything's already tuned into that frequency except us. We have to tune in.
Yeah. And Patrick says, you need where the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and then tune it down a little bit, but the one makes the many. And that's where the cog in the wheel, and where I'm a broken cog, I got tossed to the side, right?
And so I'm really enjoying this show a lot because I get to talk with people on subjects that I love to talk about, but you normally can't really go to a customer and say, you don't have the consciousness here. You don't. And to me, the way I attract customers, I tell the universe, I want to attract those people with the same consciousness. People that say, I know the tree is sick. One lady called me up the other day. I know the tree is sick. And I know the soil's sick, but my gardener won't listen. How's that?
I like that. See, that's where I said, Andy, more people are talking about it. More people are getting into vermicompost, understanding the benefits of worms, of composting, biostimulants, things they can use naturally, organically to help.
So this police officer said, I put a little compost bin in the ground. I'm growing worms in it. I'm letting the worms and everything go into the ground. So I keep putting food and worms into the top in different layers, and it goes right into the ground. And I move it around every once in a while to different parts. Another friend came up to me and said, I got 3 or 4 ponds. I'm building a built-in little worm farm underneath each one of these ponds to let them, constantly leachate out into the soil. And I said, that's cool, but that's going to take a while. That's the way Mother Nature works, is that just soil does not recover overnight. Doesn't even recover in a year. And sometimes it takes a decade or more for the soil structure to actually start to recover. And that's
Well,
assuming everything's in the right place.
and that's assuming that you or I or somebody that knows more can't step in and help. That's where we understand that making, things like compost, having a worm bin, using these things, we can take those, we can make that happen in months or a couple of 3 seasons. We can make that back into a soil that's healthy and vibrant and full of life. That's where living soil
That's what it's all about.
needs to be there,
And
right?
that's what we're about. We're trying to get people to say, look, so you can make a good salad, right, for you to eat. Well, you have to pay attention to making a good salad, so to speak, for the soil. And I totally believe that all the minerals or anything are normally found in there, provided Mother Nature puts it in there. Mother Nature has to get it in there.
If you look at it, I think it's an agronomy book, and you look, they did a global study of sand.
Yeah.
And they listed all the components that's in sand. It's pretty much everything that is necessary to grow anything, us included, is actually in a particle of sand. It's just having the biology to mine it. Consider, guys, we look at a grain of sand and, it's just this little tiny thing. But when you're, the microbiology that needs to mine it, okay, that's like a whole planet. And you've got different sections on that grain of sand. It's mining cobalt over here, copper over there, manganese, molybdenum, and it's all little villages. Then when you put all those together into an aggregation, you put together, universes. Andy, have you ever, I want to cover one more thing before we end, and that's quorum sensing. Have you ever heard the term quorum sensing?
Quorum sensing?
Yes.
No. What is quorum sensing?
Okay, quorum sensing is basically when enough biology builds up in a system that it forms those aggregates, that community, and it can literally look at the structure around it and say, okay, we're missing boron. Okay. We don't have the biology to mine the boron. So it is like the halls of Alexandria. It's the University of Life. It reads the genetic code and going, okay, we need to create this biology to go mine this substance. Here's the genetic code. And that's where the biology gathers all the building materials, the biology to build it. It'll literally build brand new biology that isn't in a soil system, put it out so that it can mine what the plant needs.
I feel a little bit that I want to say mainly. I agree with everything being in there. That's because it was put there in the first place by Mother Nature. And Mother Nature will continue to do that if we allow her to. So I think certain parts of the world is very, very rich because we haven't gotten there yet to mine it, to farm it to death. And so what we're doing now, we're farming the soil to death, and we're taking all the nutrients out of it, and we need to put it back in again. The biology is there. I mean, if we put the biology there, that's why I always talk about rock dust and sources of trace minerals, because I want to make sure, my experience has been that if the system is not working properly, we need to help it get back in shape, because that's what the system does. It takes minerals from all parts of the world, mixes it all together, sends it all back out again for everybody to get it. And that's part of the system. That takes a long time. So we've gotten to the point where the system is not functioning correctly, and we want to make sure that it's this is a question. Vermiculture, the positive mining of the future. Positive mining of the future, vermicompost. That's good. That's great. It really is. And because that's, you just have to learn that I would probably just do a little study in the area where you live, because every area is very different in terms of what's available in the soil there. But
soil test, Andy.
Yeah, right. That's why soil test is important, because it does help you to understand that. And every soil structure is a little different too. So they would have it, but what I've learned from experience is a house, for example, have plants from all around the world,
Yes.
genetically from all. So if they're coming from that part of the world and they don't live over there, will they get all the minerals they need? But if they're over here and they're not getting the minerals they need, the biology may not provide them that mineral because the biology may not have that minerals in there. The earth may not have put it in there, or for some reason, whatever we're doing. That it's
Well,
kind of.
We talk about aggregation, Andy, and you're dealing with soils that don't have any. They don't have any real life, so they can never do a quorum sensing to even create the biology that would be necessary.
There you go.
That's why you're doing foliar sprays. What's the word? Teas, all these different
getting
things.
all the biology together.
Biology.
More.
Yeah,
exactly right. And I'm just the type that if I introducing the biology, I always tell the biology, here's some sources of trace minerals just in case you don't find it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they get it. And also, when you spray trace minerals as a foliar application, you're giving the plants the food, the minerals they need. You're hopefully working on the soil, the biology to get that going, to get it to keep giving them the minerals. So that's the process that I've learned in terms of when you do. Where do you test the soil? Well, here it is. Where do you test the soil? So I do have a really good soil lab. As soon as the show is over, I'm going to go back up to YouTube and put it in the description. It's a really cool. It's a soil lab that not only does lab tests but also talks about the biology. You don't find soil.
We've actually had them on our other show, Andy.
Yeah, right. We did.
We have a discount code.
We did have him on our code. Yeah, on our show.
Yeah.
You know, so we have and that's what we want. We want a lab that also understands biology and they can tell us. You know. And you can spend a lot of money to decide what, but what's the point if he tells you this is a biology and gives you the name of all these things? You go, yeah, right. That really helps a lot. All you want to know is, and the way they do it is a really cool way because they explain to you the biology and you can see it in forms of color. So, guys, I think we're done for now. I appreciate everybody coming along.
Thank you, Andy.
We had a wonderful time having you on as my guest. And
we'll have to do it again.
I will put the soil test in the.
I think it's alluvial soil labs.
Yeah, alluvial soil labs, exactly. We'll put it in the description for you. You can go up there and get a soil a test. A soil test is excellent to use so you can see where you stand at. So, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you next Wednesday, on Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, take care now.
Peace, everybody.
Okay, I got it. I got it. End the stream.